Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret. It has been since August 5th since my last video, and I have a lot to tell you. My life has changed drastically. First of all, for those of you who are new subscribers, welcome. And for those of you who are not new, you probably know that I've been fiddling with my camera situation for quite some time. Can't quite seem to get it right. My old camera was perfect except for the sound, and it made this clicking sound, and also it didn't give me a wide view if I wanted to do that, which is what is default for YouTube. It gave me the little square picture. I'm really not sure what I've got it set on here. It's I'm using my GoPro with a narrow setting, and I think it's still the 1080p, so I'm good. Problem is with my fancy camera that goes tick, 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 I could adjust the volume, and I can't adjust it here. So that means that every time I use one of my other cameras or my phone or whatever, then I have to go in, and every clip I have to edit by, pull the volume up to an acceptable sound. And that was a pain in the butt. So I found this guy on YouTube. Of course, YouTube teaches us everything about a microphone attached to your GoPro. Now, the problem with the GoPro, though, is that there is no flip-out viewfinder, LCD viewfinder, so that I can see what's going on. So I really have no idea if I go like this, if that stays in focus or not. I don't know. So I guess we're going to learn. Now, I can make it talk to my camera and all that, but it just takes forever. Wait, did I say camera? I can make it talk to my phone, but in order to set it up, it takes forever, drains the battery, and it's just like, no, it's just too much. So let's give this a go. Now, as I mentioned a minute ago, my life has changed dramatically. You know how you think you got it all planned out and everything's working well, and then all of a sudden life throws you a curve. And that's exactly what's happened with us. Old subscribers know that my two big kids are in a whole new experience for each of them. My oldest is now at UCLA. He's getting his master's, and then my middle child is starting her new job. She already has her master's, and she is an accountant with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and we just dropped her off this past weekend in Dallas. But what I didn't plan on was that my youngest, who's 14, Thomas, and my really old subscribers know him because he used to like to be in my videos back when he was about 11 or so. No, it must have been older than that, 12. But anyway, Thomas has chosen to go to Riverside Military Academy in Gainesville, Georgia. And how this came about was a long and, well, actually it wasn't long and drawn out. It felt long and drawn out. It was a big family discussion and decision about where he would be happiest, where he would fit the best. And so we went and visited this place after much research, and we all five fell in love with it. It was so impressive. And now I know a lot of us in this neck of the woods hear military school and we go, ooh, dumping ground for juvenile delinquents. And that's not the case at all. This one in particular has kids whose daddies have graduated from there, and so they want to go there, and we'll have like, brothers. The big brother went, so little brother goes, and it keeps going down like that. It's pretty impressive facility. So anyway, to make a long story short, I am currently an empty nester, and I wasn't supposed to be for another 4 years. So it's a hard adjustment, but I have to keep telling myself that everything is good. Everybody's happy. Nobody's sick, ill, no death in the family, no major traumas like that. It's just an adjustment. So once I figure out what my norm is, my new norm will be, then I think I'm going to be all settled and all happy. So, on to yarn. You would think that I would have a whole lot more to show since I've been depositing children all over the United States. we've got Georgia, Texas, and California, and we are so spread out. You'd think that I would have gotten a lot done, but I actually have not. Long story as to why that is, but anyway, let me show you what I do have. In my last video, I told you that my goal was to do Erin Donahue's Mia hat. She's Gimme Yarn 418, and she had designed this hat. Now it's just, you know, this kind of like ribbing everywhere, and then it has this one really cool cable. You see that? And I, number one, fell in love with it because I think it's extremely tasteful and very, very classic, you know, of a hat with a twist. It's just new. And so I loved it. And the second thing is because I think it's no secret that Erin and I are big buddies, and I've even met Mia, whom this hat was named for. And Mia was the little dog that they lost recently. So this hat was really important to me because, you know, I'm such an emotional mess anyway. That's who I am. So I really wanted to do a good job with this. And it took me a while. I started it, and then being in the, the emotional state that I've been in, I couldn't focus properly, and I kept having to think back and everything, so I put it down and I did something easier and quicker. And for me, easier and quicker is my crochet. I love crochet. Now, I have showed you a silly hat that I did in that last video, and it really was a silly hat. And I thought there's got to be an easier way to make this with less end sewing in, and so I did come up with a version that would work just fine, but you have to see it. Isn't it funny? Okay, here's what I did. Bob Wilson 123, who actually taught me to crochet through YouTube, has a pattern where you pretty much make this hat like this. You're going back and forth like this. And you have a brim, you do half double crochet here, double crochet here, and then single crochet up here. And what that does is shape your hat because it's done, you know, because it's done flat, essentially. Now, the way she tells you to do it is a little bit too big, like her counts and everything were too big for me. And because I did this so long ago now, I can't remember exactly what my counts were. But I do remember that these are 9 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, each color block is 9 rows except for the last one because she tells you you need to end with a half double crochet row. So one of these is 8 rows. So I did essentially 36, 35 rows. Is that right? Yeah. And from here to here, if you measure from here to here, that's all well and good, but I couldn't do it with a chain, and she starts hers with a chain because it doesn't come out right. When I do the chain and then I do another double crochet on top of the chain or whatever, do a row, on here, then it was too long. So what I did was a foundation row of the half double crochet, the double crochet, and this, instead of chaining and then going into the pattern. So that helped me to determine how big to make it for my particular head. And that's, I have kind of an average head, and so that's the you know, what I was doing, because it's pretty close. But toddler heads, remember that children's heads are not that big a difference between an adult average head. So this, in other words, which I'm picturing for a child, could easily be turned up if it's too long or whatever. But I just wanted to go way out and just make a hat that made me laugh. And that's exactly what this hat does. It makes me laugh. So while I was at it, I did another one. Now this one was done with Caron Simply Soft, and which is actually, what was this? I think this was plain old Red Heart. I have a lot that I've got to use up because it's quickly becoming my least favorite yarn to work with, plain Red Heart Super Saver. And yet I love the colors in all of it. And remember, I do a lot of charity work, so I need to use acrylics that can be thrown in the washer and dryer because that's how they take care of them in homeless shelters. So, but here's Karen's Simply Soft. And I have that big giant, ooh, look at the fuzz. Can you see that coming out? I have that big giant pom-pom maker. So I used both the white and the blue to make a big giant pom with that. And use the same basic principle. I'll put a link in the description box to Claire, Bob Wilson 123's tutorial on how to make this flat hat, and then you seam it up, because that was really helpful. Now when I got through with those, I felt a little bit more level-headed and picked up my Mia hat again, and I completed my Mia hat. Now I love this, and Erin does not call me a beginner knitter, but I still feel like I am. I don't think I've been knitting a whole year yet. I need to check on those dates. But I found this relatively easy to do. It was just my state of mind that made it difficult, so don't let me trick you. I think if you're past the basics, if you're comfortable with knitting and purling and your tension is pretty good, go ahead and try it because it's wonderful. It is a paid for pattern. I'm going to put a link in the description box below. And the thing about a cable is you go onto YouTube and look for how to do cable knitting, and it shows you the process. And in this particular one, it's a little different from your basic cable because, well, look at it. Can you see how it's, I hope you can see it. Remember, I don't know what you're seeing. It looks like it has not just two that intertwine, but it looks like it's got kind of like that. So once you know how to do a basic cable, you're set and you could do it. I don't even use a cable needle. I use a bamboo double-pointed needle in the same size or a little bit larger than my regular knitting needle size that I'm using for a project. And the reason why is it keeps it from sliding out. Because basically what you're doing with a cable is holding two stitches out of the way, knitting the next few stitches, then coming back to it. So you're creating a twist in the yarn. So I don't want my cable needle to fall out, or in my case, a double pointed needle. So I make it just a little bit tighter. And it doesn't matter because it's the size in your right hand. The needle you're holding in your right hand is the one that sizes the stitch. So that's how that works. But I highly recommend this. I think it's beautiful and very, I hate the word classy. That classy is a word that, to me, non-classy people use. So I am not going to use that word to describe this hat. But it is very elegant. I think it's a very elegant and tailored hat, and I love it. Good job, Erin. Ha, fooled you. You thought I was through talking about this hat, but I just remembered something else. I have a problem with my knitted hats. I can't size them right. Almost every time the first one I do in a pattern will come out too big. And I guess that means that my tension is loose. It doesn't feel loose to me, so I don't know, but I'm still learning through all of this. And one thing that Erin told me, I've noticed that Erin is my knitting guru. She's kind of like my knitting coach, and that's who I go to for questions or, you know, any kind of tutorial advice I need. Most of the time I'll check YouTube, but then, so I won't bother her every 5 minutes. And then if I just need help from a person, she's the person that coaches me through this. But have you noticed that some knitting patterns tell you to use a size smaller for the brim? And that's to make a tighter brim. And she says she does that anyway, whether the pattern tells you to do that or not. And so that's probably something that I'm going to adopt, because I know that my hat is going to be too big. Almost every one I have done the first time is too big, and then I make adjustments and go back and fix it for the second one. But that's something that I've now learned that I'm going to do for every hat. And she also points out that 1x1 ribbing is a little snugger than, a little more snug, I guess we should say, than say a 2x2, which is nice and stretchy. But regardless, you know, that's just something that she found to be true, and I think I'm agreeing with her in my own experience. So I'm just throwing that out there in case anybody else might find it helpful. So maybe I need to be brave and just automatically go down some needle sizes, because that seems to be my pattern, is that they're coming out too big. But I'm always afraid that it's going to come out too small. It's like, no, you must do it as it is written. I'm such a rule follower, can you tell? Okay, but wait, there's more. Now, it's 7 to 8 hours to Gainesville, Georgia, where Thomas is. And that depends on the Atlanta traffic, because there's just always traffic in Atlanta for some strange reason. And so you never really know exactly how long it's going to take you to get there. But I knew I needed a nice long project, and I usually like to take things like knitting with sock yarn type projects, because you can take fewer items with you because the project takes longer. So in the process of touring the school and then moving Thomas back out there and all that kind of stuff, I pulled out some more sock yarn. Now this is a Peyton's sock yarn, and I did another Sockhead hat. And again, this one is a little too loose, just the same way as the Sockhead hat I had recently made in my last video. That was a Deborah Norville yarn. That was great yarn. I need to get my hands on some more of that. But I love the patterning. I love this yarn. I thought it came out great. I thought this was rather masculine, but my daughter said, no, I don't think it's masculine at all. She sees this gray as purple, and I don't see that. I see it as gray, but whatever, that means to me that it's a very versatile hat. So I thought it was great. But I love these Sockhead hats. I love the small stitches of the small yarn, tiny needles, tiny yarn. And to me, while it may be boring for those of you who like more of a challenge, for me it's very soothing. It's simple, repetitive. You see your results quickly, or relatively quickly as you can with a small yarn. And it's perfect car knitting, especially when you're stressful or sad or whatever. You don't make as many mistakes because you don't have to think of the details. So there you go. So I loved that. And when I got home, you know me and my scraps, I don't like anything to go to waste. A while ago I had knitted a cowl with some of this bulky yarn. It was, let me go see. It was called Bernat Alpaca Natural Blends. It's a number 5 bulky that I picked up for $1.99. Well, it was on sale for $1.99, and then I had a coupon for like 25% off when I bought this stuff. Now, I do worry about donating this because I'm not sure if you can wash it or not. But I don't know. I can, if I donate it to Madcap, which is one of my favorite charities, I can put a tag on it that says hand wash only. Those go to families, it's not a homeless shelter where they just take what people have and throw in the washer. So I think I'd probably be good with that. But it's a great yarn. I really like this. For being an inexpensive as it is, it feels great. And you have the natural fiber. Oh, what is it? It's 70% acrylic and 30% alpaca. So not fully natural yarn, but it feels really good. And you can see the fuzzies. You see the fuzzies on it? That's not cat hair or dog hair, as is commonly found at my house. Those are just part of the natural fibers. This is the Better Late Than Never beanie, which is a crochet pattern that I love. It's free on Ravelry, and I'll put a link in the description box below. Very simple. I've got it memorized, and it's wonderful for scraps when you have partial skeins open. And of course you could do, I've done it where I've had the double crochet to be like all black and then done completely different colors in each one of the single crochet rows. It's just very versatile. I like the pattern a lot, and I always seem to end it differently. Sometimes I'll put a front post, back post brim around there and whatever, but it's just a great standby pattern, one of my favorites. So what am I working on now? Well, if you'll remember, or if you ever saw, my goals back in January were to use up a lot of my yarn. I really have not been buying a whole lot of yarn. Now, I mean, I've been passing by sales and a lot of things, and I'm putting a good dent, but I was always hesitant to use my really good yarn that I bought at Webb's last year when I visited Erin and Kristen in Vermont. And that's so silly. I don't know why I was holding on to that, but I just was. Now, while we were in Webb's, we saw a shawl displayed, and I fell in love with it. And the tag on it indicated that it was a free pattern, which is this. It's called Rectangular Chevron Shawl. And that's all it is, a big giant rectangle with those chevron lacy things in it. And what they had knitted it out of in Webb's was so beautiful, and I had to track it down. And what was it? Madeline Tosh. Look at it. If you have never had an opportunity to get your hands on some Madeline Tosh, part of me says, don't do it, because it is an expensive yarn. But it's so nice. I feel like a grown-up knitter now because I'm using really nice yarn. But this is Madeline Tosh hand-dyed yarns. It's called Dandelion. It is 90% superwash merino wool and 10% fine linen, fingering weight, and it's just so nice. It's hand-dyed in Texas, but made in South Africa. Oh, wait a second. The color is opaline. Let's look at this tag again. Okay, it says Dandelion here, which must be the type of yarn that it is, but then over here it's called opaline. So I think that is the color. Yeah, here's the little price tag on it. It says Dandelion Opaline, and it was $22 for one skein, and I needed 2. But you know what? That, not like anything, nice yarns you have to pay for. Now, most of the knitting and crochet that I do goes to charity, but every now and then I like to treat myself to something, and so I am definitely going to keep this. I haven't gotten far along on it, and I'm not sure if you can see how the colors are coming out, but it's nice. It's really nice, and I'm really glad I busted it out right now while I'm not feeling my normal chipper self as I adjust to being a empty nester. Now, I have a shout out, and that is to Erica. Erica does not have a YouTube channel, so she can't comment on my YouTube videos. Oh, and by the way, I think now that I am an empty nester and I have a little bit longer days and don't have to travel back and forth to baseball practice and all that stuff as I normally did, I have more time, and I think I may start a Ravelry group. I'll keep you posted if I do that. I got to look into how to do it and all that first. But I got a message on Ravelry the other day from Erica. She's 14, which, by the way, is also Thomas's age. And I'm so jealous of Erica because she has started her yarn, her love for yarn at an early age. And you know, I've mentioned this before and I never did it. There are many health benefits to knitting and crocheting. When I was talking about the repetitive nature, you know, that is a very soothing thing. They introduce this a lot into recovery centers and whatever, because it helps keep the mind not necessarily occupied per se, because you can watch TV, you can have conversations, you can do those things. But when you're having difficulties, and I know everybody out there has had hard times, your mind tends to go all over the place. And this is a way that it brings everything down into something centered. Anything that you can do with your hands in that way. And in addition is the creative outlet. And studies have been shown that it will lower that blood pressure. It's very calming. It's very centering, you know, to just an activity to center yourself and get everything back in perspective. And so I'm jealous of you people, and I have a lot of subscribers actually. When I look at my demographics on YouTube, I have a lot of younger subscribers, and I told Erica, I don't know why they want to watch this old lady, you know, this, what did I tell her? I said this old Southern lady talk about yarn. But I'm glad that they do, because I'm so happy to see them develop their skills early, because think how far along they're going to be by the time they're my age. They'll have all kinds of great skills. So hey Erica, and thanks for the message. And then also I have to shout out to Sarah Hepworth. Now, speaking of some mad skills, Sarah Hepworth from the UK is just about perfect in everything she does. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. And Sarah also has something that I think you can develop, but is often born in some people, and that is a sense of good taste. Everything that she picks out is so elegant and so, well, the colors are always so perfect together and all these things. So she doesn't do YouTube anymore, but she's very active on Instagram. So if you want to see some of her work, follow her on Instagram, Sarah Hepworth. And but anyway, Sarah had gifted me this pattern. It's a fundraiser that Pink Hair Girl, which another person that you may follow on Instagram and whatnot, did for the Children's Hospital Burns unit in their area. And I think it was her daughter. Well, here, let me read you this. The Phoenix hat came about after my daughter Rachel did a charity collection for the Red Cross Children's Hospital Burns unit. Very kind knitters from all around the world donated knitted hats, washcloths, and money to help us support this unit. We would like to carry on supporting them, and instead of asking for money, we thought a pattern that made money we could use was a good idea. So when they released this pattern, Sarah bought several of them and gifted them to people that she knew would really want to appreciate this. So what I would like to do is pass on the goodness here. What did they call that? Pay it forward. So put your name, if you would like for me to gift you this Phoenix hat. Look how pretty it is. Go ahead and write in the comment box that you would love to make the Phoenix hat. It is a knitted pattern. I'm looking to see if it tells you the, all right, here's the skills you needed: a German twisted cast on. And it's not that different from a long tail cast on. I looked it up on YouTube. That's where we learn everything, right? You need to knit, purl, yarn over, slip stitch, decrease, and knitting in the round. So if you can do those skills, you can make this hat knitted from the bottom up. So if you would like for me to gift you that pattern, please put your name in the comment section below, and I will have a drawing, and I will probably gift a couple of these. I don't know. I forget. I don't know how much it was. It was a gift, so I didn't look it up. But I will look it up now that I'm going to gift it to some other people. So yeah, So I'll surprise you with how many I decide to do. I don't know. It just all depends. So thank you, Sarah. And I also want to do a shout out to Caroline, who is leaving for Indonesia. Gosh, in a few days, I think she said Thursday. She's Woolbox, WOL_BOX, on YouTube. She is one of the people who came and visited on my channel and started doing YouTube videos, and her channel just took off. And she thinks it's because she was on my channel, but I assure you that's not the case. On YouTube, I don't know why some people want to watch your channel and why some people don't. And I think that's the key thing to remember, is that you can't please everybody. So if you decide to do your own YouTube channel, do so with the attitude of, you're not trying to be famous and be liked by everybody. It's the interaction that's so wonderful. I started my channel simply because I didn't have anybody around here who appreciated my love for yarn. As a matter of fact, most of my friends tease me. So I said, well, shoot, I'll just go out and find my own friends. And that's exactly what has happened with this. So if you decide to do it, don't get your feelings hurt if you get a thumbs down. Don't get your feelings hurt if people watch someone else and not you. You can't be all things to all people. So anyway, go see Caroline. I love her. I think she's great. So very talented knitter too, and she has a very warm and comical personality. She's just a pleasure to watch. So it's WOL_BOX, Woolbox. So anyhow, I guess that's all for now. I have rattled on enough, don't you think? So I'll see you next week, if not before, because before all this stuff transpired, I was in the process of doing a crochet tutorial for preemie hats, and that's somebody else I want to tell you about next time when I get that preemie hat tutorial up. I have the written pattern for that, and I will link to the preemie hat below if you have a need for preemie hats already. But once I get the tutorial up, I'm going to introduce you to a new charity that may be something that touches your heart that you'll want to participate in. So I look for that in the coming days. So until then, see you next time. Bye.